take a look at this for a second. So, Wide Awake Media put this out. It says Greenpeace co-founder Dr. Patrick Moore on the murderous consequences of net zero. So that's that policy that a lot of countries are trying to implement, that we're going to do net zero, carbon, net zero emissions and greenhouse gases to try to eliminate them. And this Greenpeace co-founder goes on to this podcast show, and he's going to explain why that's a bad thing. Now, I kind of had already mentioned about net zero being not a good thing, because if you eliminate all the carbon, that's plant food. That's how it nourishes agriculture and crops. So if you're going to eliminate all the carbon, then you're going to eliminate all the food. You're going to eliminate all of nature, trees, living plants that take carbon and photosynthesize into oxygen. And that's going to be a life killer than it's going to save. But here's what this guy had to say about it.
If we actually achieved net zero, at least 50% of the population would die of hunger and disease. And no doubt about it, because just one thing, which is nitrogen-based fertilizer, at least 50% of the population depends on nitrogen fertilizer for its existence today. There's no doubt about that. And there's people trying to ban it. And Netherlands and Sri Lanka have already made these kind of moves. And so it is truly a death wish in disguise. And the disguise is to save the earth, which doesn't need saving particularly.
That was the guy from Greenpeace. That's the Greenpeace guy saying that net zero is going to kill humanity. It's going to extinguish life on Earth. It's going to ruin crops. It's going to ruin farming. It's going to ruin agriculture. Trees won't get the nutrition to provide oxygen to us, which eventually is going to kill us. It's hard to imagine that Greenpeace, once upon a time, was everybody railed against. Now Greenpeace has gone so right-wing because they're not on board with net zero. I kid you not. People took this video and thought he was a right-winger. Oh, he's definitely a Trumper, not being considerate about climate. Greenpeace. Oh my God. But he does have a point. He does have a point. Because here is this is CO2 Coalition. An increase in atmosphere CO2, that's carbon dioxide, which is what they're trying to eliminate, has resulted in a so-called greening of the earth. Meaning that there's more trees, there's more vegetation, there's more crops with the amount of CO2 bringing to plants, which makes sense. That's basic biology. Plants survive on CO2, then they provide oxygen, which gives us more air to breathe. But they want to reduce that. They want to do net zero, which would eliminate that. And that's where farmers in the Netherlands and farmers here in Canada have been protesting against this. That's why they've been protesting against the certain type of fertilizer, because they need nitrogen in the soil to produce healthy crops. And without that, those farmers are going to come extinct, which is what they're hoping for. They want those farms to be eliminated so they can turn them into industrial zones and turn everything into ultra processed. They're going to 3D print your meat. They're going to get rid of the cows because of the methane, and they're going to 3D print your meat. They want everything to be ultra processed. They want you to eat bugs. They don't want actual living organisms. And this isn't part of it. Net zero is going to further eliminate the process of plants. So here's the video that they put together.
Increases in CO2 in our atmosphere actually is a positive thing for agriculture. If we look at the leaf area index across the globe, most people don't talk about this. This green here is actually a very significant increase, so much so in the last 35 years from the increase. You could put a layer of leaves across the whole United States, 2 layers thick. You can go over the whole Amazon rainforest with an extra layer of leaves. That's how much the globe has improved, and nobody's talking about this. 70% of this is coming from CO2 increases. Let's go look and see what's on the ground here. We've got South Africa savanna. It's a dry area, but yet it's increasing tree cover. CO2 is actually a fertilizer. I'm an agriculturalist, and I can
African savanna. African savanna went from a desert to green. Is now there's leaves, there's trees there. And he just said because it's the CO2. The CO2 that they're trying to eliminate, that they're trying to say is a toxic pollutant. That's what nourishes trees. That's what provides us oxygen. That's basic science, basic biology. That's going back to grade school. And this is where, when I was first on board with all this, because I could still consider myself an environmentalist and environmentally conscious. But looking at this and looking at the fact that they want to, get rid of trees, that the CO2 needs, they're going to spend so much money to carbon capture. All these oil industries are going to spend billions of dollars in carbon capture technology. Isn't that what plants are for? Isn't that what nature does already? And if we get rid of the carbon, how's that going to produce oxygen? That means oxygen goes away. That means us. We won't be able to breathe. Living creatures won't survive.
see this as a benefit to agriculture up to about 1,200 parts per million, or even maybe beyond.
That's a short little clip there they put together. Now, here's what gets a little bit interesting is this woman, Smarticus, says Bill Gates basically wants hundreds of billions of public money, mean tax dollars, mean going to subsidize the payments to you, to build the machines to remove CO2 from the air, something plants and trees do for free. Ask Bill Gates, why don't we just plant more trees? Sounds legit. Sounds reasonable. Sounds like a perfectly appropriate question. You want to eliminate CO2? Plant more trees. And guess what? It provides us oxygen and shade. Get all three at once. How great would that be? But no, they want to take taxpayer money to build CO2 removal machines and take the carbon dioxide directly out of the air, which it just makes no sense. Even looking at that just makes no sense. Why they need these giant metal industrial sized machines to suck out the CO2 that won't provide us anything. At least a tree will suck out the carbon dioxide and provides us oxygen through photosynthesis. But they're going to trust Bill Gates on this because Bill Gates and other investors, this is from Forbes, Bill Gates and other investors are betting Kodama systems can reduce carbon dioxide in the air by chopping down and burying trees. Now, if only Uncle Sam could get on board with tax credits too. So, the revolutionary mind, Mr. Greenpeace, Bill Gates, not the actual Greenpeace, but the guy that they want to implement as Mr. Greenpeace, Bill Gates, barely finished college, doesn't know how to program, bought his way into the medical industry. His solution is we need to cut down trees and bury them to combat climate change. And if you think that's a joke, this is video of him admitting to this to the New York Times. Admitting this directly to the New York Times. That, hey, we just got to cut down the trees, bury them, and the climate is just going to change itself. That everything's going to work out. We're going to cut off the oxygen supply. And listen just how absurd and evil and just absolutely nefarious. It sounds coming from that guy. I know it sounds crazy because Bill Gates is like this cuddly nerd that wears sweater vests, but he is a sinister, twisted oligarch. And this is why you should not trust him at all for one bit.
Can you say a bit more about something you just mentioned? You're the largest individual customer at Climeworks. Climeworks is one of the most scaled and advanced carbon capture and sequestration companies. What does it mean that you're the single biggest customer? What does that look like? What kind of a customer are you?
Check.
Yeah. But are you offsetting your own personal emissions
Yes.
with that? And can you give us a sense of the scale of that?
It's like 10 million a year.
Okay. And just
It's a variety of things. The Climeworks.
So just to give you context on that conversation is while they're demonizing people like us, that we're the ones putting more pollutants into the air, we're putting more carbon into, you gotta watch our carbon footprint. Remember that phrase? You gotta watch your carbon footprint. That was invented by BP. That was invented by an oil company. That's putting pollutants into the air. Hey, you gotta monitor your carbon footprint. It's a you problem. And while they're shaming you for it, Bill Gates, with his private jets, his private yacht, his luxurious estate, the fact that he wants to cut down trees for profit, he's able just to buy off the carbon credits. Oh, I can just buy off the pollution. I don't have to change my ways. I don't have to reduce my emissions. I just, pay $10 million in hush money. Then they don't bug me anymore. And he does it. Justin Trudeau does it. Mark Carney does it. Al Gore does it. All these people that scream about the climate change and environment and we got to do things to change, otherwise it's going to wreck humanity. They don't change. They're not doing anything to change. They can just buy their way. The climate's going to be better for them because they just pay more money. But for the rest of you, you're the ones that can't own a gas-powered vehicle. You can't have a lawnmower. You can't do this because you got to watch your your carbon footprint. It's your fault, apparently, according to someone like Bill Gates. It's you, not him. Not him that's put more pollutants than anyone combined, or the military-industrial complex, or any of those. No. It's us, apparently.
Works as part of it, buying electric heat pumps for low-income housing where they get the benefits of lower monthly bills, and I take the carbon credits for those things. There's solar panels. There's a huge variety of things. I don't use some of the less proven approaches,
Such as?
Less proven approaches. That sounds really scientifical. I don't choose the less proven effective methods. Trees, plants, agriculture. I don't do that. I don't listen to biology. I don't listen to nature. I just tear it down and tell people I'm the naturalist. This is the same guy that's buying up the farmland and proclaiming himself to be an agricultural specialist when all he wants to do is buy up the farmland to use the land. He doesn't care about cattle. He doesn't care about the animals. He wants to inject them with a bunch of harmful chemicals. But eventually, he's going to buy up that farmland to make processing plants for his Beyond Beef burgers, for his 3D printed steaks, for his bugs that you'll have to swallow down, according to Klaus Schwab. And now here he is trying to pose himself as the environmentalist. I don't listen to the effective measures. Very scientifical.
I don't plant trees.
There's a lot of people who are very enamored.
I don't plant trees. The thing that actually is proven effective throughout all of humanity, the thing that's proven through life on Earth, I don't listen to that. I don't do that. I don't plant trees. Saying that directly to the New York Times, nonetheless. I don't plant trees. Wow. And this is the guy that people still praise as some sort of superhero. Well, he's doing his best to try to save people with medicine, and he invented Windows, so he's obviously just a smart genius. No, he's just a idiot. He's just a guy with a lot of money. He's a megalomaniac with a lot of money. He bought his people to program to run Microsoft. He bought people into medicine. He's buying the patents. That's why he's able to go on TV. He bought the media. He bribed the media to go on television to pose himself as a doctor, as a medical advisor. Just like he's doing here. He's buying his way to becoming an environmentalist. He doesn't care about nature. He barely understands nature. And he's telling the New York Times that, oh, you got to listen to me because I buy my own carbon credits. And I don't listen to the effective measures like planting trees, that kind of stuff. Clean the water. Why have clean water when you can cap it up and sell it $10 a pop? Why we do that? Why we do that? Why does biology exist? Ugh. Nature. These are nefarious schools that are against nature. They have no intent to saving it. They have no intent to understand nature. And that's the biggest thing. Is the billionaire class that pretends to be environmentalists and care about carbon and care about the planet and climate change. They have no intention to fully understand nature. They have no connection with nature. If you're going to be an environmentalist to understand how we can move forward to maintain the survival of people and species on this planet, then you need to understand nature. You need to understand that trees are effective. They are so effective that we're still to this day living because of trees. That we're living today because of farms and agriculture. They're not an abundance of methane gases. And if you want to look at pollutants, why aren't you looking at yourself? Or the military? Or the fact we just blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, causing natural gas liquids into the ocean? Why are we not looking at those cases? But no, trees are so awful. Trees are so awful. We're going to cut them down, bury them, won't provide oxygen, but it's going to provide me a bunch of credits. That is your green thumb, your advisors on climate policy, ladies and gentlemen. The guy who wanted to originally block the sun. He wanted to spray aerosols into the sun. What a sinister, twisted, evil, psychotic sociopath this man is. On top of all the other people, which he fits comfortably. He fits comfortably within those circles. And that's why he, goes to dinner with Jeffrey Epstein numerous times a day. But I'm not friends with him. According to his interview on PBS there. I've been to dinner with him a few times there, but I'm not really friends with him. I don't really know much about him. I'm sure you don't, Bill.